Hey everybody, Anthony Cosenza here with Casabell Realty Group, coming at you with a mini update. Usually I come at my clients and friends and colleagues with an update that's a little lengthier, and it's got a lot of different elements, articles, and things we spotlight in it. But this is going to be a little bit different because I came across two recent articles that I really wanted to hone in on, specialize. I get a lot of questions on these types of things. And when I saw these two articles, both from realtor.com, there's some things in it that I think are very, very valuable, very, very worthwhile. And I think there are some things in it that can maybe be, in my opinion, not always the most sound advice, or it can be tweaked a little bit to your benefit as you are looking. Potentially, these are specifically on the buying side now. So I'm going to focus a little bit more on the buying side with these two specific articles. Obviously, if you tune into our market updates and or subscribe to our email newsletter, which you can do, we talk about all kinds of different things, whether it's on the buying side, the selling side, leasing, just what's going on in the market, all kinds of things. So you can get in touch with us a number of different ways. Of course, via CasabellRealtyGroup.com is the website, and we have a Facebook page, so go give that a thumbs up. We are now streaming these on my LinkedIn page, so you can go check that out there. And then, of course, on our YouTube channel, all of that. If you catch the live recording of it, awesome. If not, then go check it out after the fact to get this information. And if you want to get the email on our email distribution list and get these updates as well, get in contact with me on one of those platforms, and I will be happy to send you that information that we cover. Now, quickly, again, we do a more lengthier real estate market update, and we usually do that later in the week, but I want to share a couple of things here just kind of to dispel some myths, confirm some others. This is the article here on realtor.com. Dispel some myths, confirm some of these practices and whatnot as you are looking to buy. And now, as many of you probably know, because of the interest rates rising, because of different things happening in the market, there is a shift occurring in the market. It is a little bit, I've been saying this for a little while, it is a little bit more of a balancing of the scales between buyers and sellers. It's been obviously far tilted to the seller's market in the past couple really years now at this point, but there is a little bit of a shift now. Demand has dropped in terms of buyers out there, and now inventory has taken a little bit of a rise as well. And if you listen to our market updates, you will note that when we give our usual Orange County MLS update numbers and different other inventory numbers, you will have seen that incrementally increase over the past few months in 22. So here's the article here quickly on realtor.com that I wanted to share with you all here. This is the title of it is 5 Cutthroat Tactics I Devised Out of Sheer Desperation to Buy a House That Worked. And so this young lady here, I believe it's the one pictured with her little one, and the article is by Jillian Pretzel. I bought a house. It kind of goes through the background. I bought a house years ago, so I figured I knew what to do when my husband and I started shopping for a new house in the LA area during summer of 21. Quickly learned that today's real estate market is light years different from my last go round. And so they give out 5 different tips that and I want to talk about each one of these and some recent experience, and in my experience in the real estate market, what we've seen here in the industry. Never believe a list price, instead check comps. Now, this is pretty savvy advice here, and this is one that we as a brokerage at Casabell Realty Group like to tell our clients to, you got to check the comps, and you got to really obviously check the ones that are more recent. Some of these, I've been working with some clients recently, and some comps that we have pulled have gone back, a year or so. Some neighborhoods just haven't, sold a house in that specific community or that real nearby area for a while. And so, you really got to do your homework on that. An agent can pull comps and pull comprehensive comparables in the area. They can do that. And, they also work hand in hand, usually with a title insurance company, to help pull a lot of that information as well, to get, a lot of inside information, not only on the property itself, but some surrounding properties, prices, values, and give you a good idea. Now, this here is a good sage piece of advice here, because it says, you may tell yourself, hey, I want to go up to 850,000 or something of that nature. Well, as it says here, we'll offer full asking was the story here. My agent contacted the seller's agent. They called me back. They already have 5 offers over asking. This is kind of a little bit of part and parcel of what's been happening here in this market. Now, again, we're seeing this shift a little bit here, but again, that's still something that a lot of folks are encountering out here in the market. So what you want to do, and what this advice is telling you is, maybe if your top end of your budget is X amount of number, maybe you go a little bit below that and see what is there. Kind of going into the market a little bit, unfortunately, with the mindset of we may have to pay over list price for some of these houses. So the top end of our budget is actually here. That means, if it's at 850 is the top end of our budget, that means we will be looking at houses at 825, 830, 835, that sort of thing, to get an idea. And then that way, you're in the game there. Now, another tactic that we have used that kind of goes against this a little bit, that some folks, we kind of coach our clients on a little bit as well. Keep an eye out on some of those homes that have been out there in the market that have been sitting for a little while. So there's some nice homes out there that maybe entered the market, pretty overpriced and just kind of have languished there. Maybe they entered the market needing some work and they were trying to capitalize on what the market was doing, and it was overpriced in that way. Maybe it was in escrow, fell out of escrow and back on the market, and it's been sitting for a little bit longer there. So these are things to keep in mind too, where you can maybe still get the house towards the top end of your budget, not necessarily go far over list price. Again, you got to be working with a seasoned professional in the real estate industry and help you navigate all of this. But interesting piece of advice there. And then the second tidbit here, again, this is, cutthroat tactics made by a buyer in this market via realtor.com. Making an offer sight unseen isn't as scary as it sounds. This one, I don't really recommend personally, but it does depend on what kind of personality or what kind of buying experience that you have. Some folks like to buy their cars online without ever taking them for a test drive. Some folks like that experience and are okay with it if they feel that they've done enough research. Others, though, really like the experience of going in there, seeing it with their own eyes, kind of processing everything that's going on in the home or a car or whatever the purchase is. But I don't necessarily like the making an offer sight unseen, even though this article maybe says it's not as scary as it sounds. I just, from my side of the table, I don't really think that is a very, very sound piece of advice. Obviously, there are some scenarios wherein if you live across the country and are looking at an investment property, maybe there's some FaceTime or, different video chats and things of that nature where you can kind of get a grasp on things. But really tread lightly if you're looking at that and you're thinking about going that route in terms of seeing a house and putting an offer in sight unseen. Get intel on what other buyers are offering, and you can see there the agent advised us to offer $50,000 over asking price, since that was the highest offers. You can kind of get this information in a variety of different ways. Obviously, have the agent talk to the seller's agent ahead of time and see the feeling out process. Usually, agents, we are not especially on the listing side. I mean, everybody's got a duty to represent their clients in the best way here, and they can't just say, "Oh, this person is offering this," but some agents would tell you, depending on the situation, this is kind of where you need to be in the game. This is kind of where you need to be competitive in terms of an offer. And your agent, your representative, can work with the representative on the other side to kind of coordinate and get that information to see where you need to be. Maybe you get that information and you're able to make an offer at that point that's well above everybody else, and you get that house. Maybe you hear kind of what's happening and you go, that is way too steep for us. We'll move on and we'll look at another home in another area, what have you. So getting that is definitely helpful. This is another one to tread very lightly with. Drop contingencies to win a bidding war. They're saying our agent advised us to opt the offer by another $10,000. I was hesitant. We were already over budget, and while $10,000 is small compared with the price of the house, we simply couldn't offer more. We countered with the same price, but dropped some contingencies. Some folks are doing that, and while we have worked with clients on the buying side who have done that, I just want to say that you probably want to tread a little lightly in doing that. And you really got to be careful which ones you would want to waive and not waive. The big one, I mean, obviously inspections and appraisals, there's different mindsets with that. In an inspection, some folks are saying, we're selling this as is. You get into an escrow, and if there are some significant repairs or whatnot, usually folks don't want to fall out of escrow at that point after they've gone through this, gone through the process. So, maybe there's a negotiation for repair requests and whatnot that may not have been seemingly there at the beginning of the situation or beginning of the contract or when you're looking at this home. So that's something to think about. The appraisal situation, folks are waiving those. You really want to work with your lender to get all of the information on that if you had a loan to see exactly how that would affect certain things if you get the house, if it doesn't appraise, that sort of thing. Thankfully, on the appraisal side, things have started to catch up, and it seems like homes are coming in and appraising for the most part. But that is just something that I think could be. I'm very hesitant to have my clients waive appraisal contingencies, just because that's a tricky one there. So I want you all to be very cognizant of that. Don't be afraid of a fixer upper is another yes. You definitely keep that in mind as you go on here. And then, of course, just some quick tidbits of information here on this one. 7 bidding war mistakes home buyers are making right now, and making in droves. And you can see here, bidding every last penny you have. Obviously, you don't want to necessarily do that, particularly if you are looking to make home improvements and whatnot. If you are looking to do different things, you don't want to bid every last penny that you have. You want to have a windfall. You want to be prepared, and you don't want to overextend yourselves. And that's kind of a little bit of real estate 101, a little bit there. Bidding with many contingencies. So that kind of balances out what I was saying just a minute ago about waiving all these contingencies. But also, you don't want to necessarily come in if you again have gathered the information on what the property is like, the other buyers out there, et cetera. If you go out there and you get the information from your agent, from the other listing agent, and you go in there and you go, well, we're still going to go with a lot of contingencies, but the information is telling you that's not necessarily how this is going to work for this property. Bidding with many contingencies, that's not going to work necessarily. So that's a mistake some folks are making. And then again, here's the other side, bidding with no contingencies. Again, you may be bidding against yourselves in some situations and not protecting yourself, correctly or in the best way. So again, work with your agent to make sure that you are protected and that you navigate a purchase the best way possible. Assuming you'll get a second chance, that's just kind of, again, a little bit of just, I guess, real estate 101. I mean, you either got to, sometimes in this market, you got to be pretty aggressive. If you really, really, really want the home, you got to be aggressive and assume that you're not going to get a second chance at that home or another home in the neighborhood or what have you. Sometimes you get fortunate and a home will pop back up, or, an escrow will fall out or whatever, but don't assume you'll get a second chance on certain things. And that's also in the counteroffer type of situation. Then that segues nicely into using the term best and final offer. You see people using this term on real estate TV shows and whatnot. So, again, the best and final offer, it just kind of comes off a certain way. Sometimes you'll work with a listing agent, say, hey, they'll say it, send over your best and final. The whole deal of, a bunch of counter offers back and forth. Sometimes you just get a little caught up in the weeds on that front. Other times, best and final, it can come off as, a certain way. And when you're competing with a lot of other buyers, just be careful using that. And a lot of other times, like I said, the listing agent will tell you that, hey, just send over your best and final anyway. So, and then using an escalation clause, I've been asked about this, can we just say we're going to bid $1,000 more than anybody else or a certain percent more than anybody else? So, you can do that. Again, so at some point you may be bidding against yourselves, or there may be other ways. Instead of paying, maybe more on the purchase price side, maybe you work with the contingencies, maybe you work with a higher down payment to make yourself a more appealing buyer, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of different alternatives that you could potentially be working with here. Escalation clause is one, but you got to be careful with that. And then, of course, not knowing a home's true value. That goes back to gathering intel, that goes back to getting the right comps, that goes back to working with a professional, a real estate professional, to get you that information, do the legwork for you so you are well informed and you know exactly what you are getting into with a home, with a potential purchase. So I saw these, and while I agree with a lot of the sentiments, I agree with a lot of what they're saying here. There are some differences, in my opinion, and in my experience, in our brokerage's experience. So wanted to kind of shed some light on that before we get to our big market update later this week. Quickly, again, I just want to reiterate that if you have not subscribed to our email blast, please do. This is kind of the most recent one that just went out. Some of you had some of these, and these are some recent transactions here, and these are videos, but we did just close one at the end of last week in Indio, in the desert, a beautiful home in the Shadow Hills, Sun City area. We are working on a few leases as well. We just leased out a beautiful home in Crestville, Laguna Niguel. So that one was just leased out. And then again, working on another lease in Laguna Niguel out there. So we do purchase, listings, leases, and just, hey, if we can be a resource for you in a number of different ways, let us be that for you, and let us work with you on again, purchase, sale, lease, anything like that. We want to work with you. I will show you this as well. CostaBellRealtyGroup.com. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and you can go to Costabella Realty Group to sign up for some information, or you can contact me directly, Anthony Cosenza, Costabella Realty Group, and you can go to the website, get all kinds of information. We've got a blog there. We've got all kinds of different things, as well as the email blast that I mentioned. Thank you, everybody. We will see you very soon. Anthony Cosenza from Costabella. Take care, and we'll be seeing you, hopefully, before Memorial Day with a more robust market update. Thanks.